Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Layo Adegoke. We begin our coronavirus coverage with the latest figures from Africa. The continent's COVID-19 cases has passed the 250,000 mark, standing at 251,675. From that figure, 130,415 are the active confirmed cases. More than 114,000 people have recovered, and the death toll stands at over 6,700. South Africa still has the highest number of cases on the continent, with 73,533. It's followed by Egypt with 46,289 cases and Nigeria with 16,658 cases. Neighboring Ghana is fourth with 11,964 recorded cases, then Algeria with 11,031 cases. Meanwhile, the countries with the most fatalities are Egypt with 1,672, South Africa 1,568, Algeria has 777 deaths, Sudan 468, and Nigeria with 424. Botswana has lifted the lockdown on its capital, Gaborone, after most of the latest reported cases of coronavirus turned negative. The country emerged from an extreme lockdown on the 21st of May, but restrictions were reinstated in the capital last Friday after new cases were reported. The Health Ministry says 10 out of 16 suspected new cases had tested negative, and the remaining 6 cases are awaiting confirmatory results. The cases were detected at a private hospital and the government laboratory. Well, Algeria's government is implementing the second phase of lifting its coronavirus lockdown, allowing more businesses to reopen. With strict precautionary measures in place, the country is allowing the reopening of retail stores, hair salons, and some restaurants.
The streets of the Algerian capital were full of people once again as the government relaxes its restrictions to curb the spread of the new coronavirus.
I'm glad the shops have reopened. We want them to reopen everything, especially cafes. I miss black coffee.
With strict precautionary measures in place, the country allowed the reopening of retail stores, hair salons, and some restaurants.
We have reopened our doors to our clients after 3 months of lockdown. As a result, we are undertaking several precautionary measures inside the shop, including wearing a mask, using a disinfectant, and checking customers' temperatures.
After nearly 3 months of lockdown, shop owners said they were happy to finally be able to open their doors to their customers.
We were closed for 3 months. We pray that this pandemic will end. We have undertaken all the precautionary measures, including disinfectant gel, everything. We hope that clients will respect social distancing rules. We will do our best to keep the shop open because we have suffered a lot. Everyone has at least 4 children, and 3 months created huge losses.
The government ended on Sunday the curfew in 19 provinces and shortened it in the remaining 29, including in the capital Algiers, running from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. instead of 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Algeria has reported 10,810 cases of the novel coronavirus, with 760 deaths as of June the 13th.
Tanzania's President John Magufuli has ordered all schools at all levels to reopen by the 29th of June. He has also ordered a return to normalcy of all social and economic activities that had been stopped by restrictions from the coronavirus. Mr. Magufuli issued the directives while proroguing Parliament on Tuesday ahead of the October general elections. He repeated his claim that the country was spared from the pandemic by God, words that had elicited mixed reactions recently On Monday, the Prime Minister said the country only had 66 cases of the virus in 10 out of 26 regions in the country. Well, it's a similar story in Guinea, where President Alpha Condé says students scheduled to sit for exams and those in universities will resume learning on the 29th of June. In an address to the nation, the president said places of worship will also reopen from the 28th in areas where infections have not been reported. During the first phase of resumption of lessons, social distancing and mask wearing will be implemented. Wearing of masks in public is now compulsory in the West African country, and a nighttime curfew from 11 to 4 a.m. local time is in force. The country has confirmed 4,572 coronavirus cases, including 26 deaths. Well, let's move now to East Africa, where the Kenyan authorities are investigating the disappearance of medical equipment donated to help spread the COVID-19. The personal protective equipment from the Chinese government included surgical masks, protective suits, isolation gowns, and thermometers worth $2 million. An investigation by local TV station KTN News revealed how a private company working with the government officials and Chinese businessmen in Kenya laid claim to the donation when it arrived in the country. During the bizarre incident, the company went on to donate part of the stolen supplies to other Kenyan government ministries. Kenya has received millions of dollars from countries and organizations around the world to help the fight against coronavirus. All right, let's bring in Kenyan journalist Abby Agina to give us more details on this story. Hello, Abby. Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, help us understand the crux of this situation.
It remains a very baffling development here in the country, even as Kenyans continue to stay safe and, of course, abide to the set out guidelines. This matter is still being investigated by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, that is the DCI, in regard to the alleged theft of PPE equipment that had been sent in through the government of China to Kenya. We do understand that the minister earlier today did confirm that this particular matter is being investigated, and he sort of did not want to really give any remarks in regards to how far the investigations have reached and what will transpire afterwards. So for now, we're still digging deep into it as a channel, as KTN News, and also we are keeping an eye on just to hear what will be the government's response to this.
All right. Apart from the investigation, what is the government's response on how the donations have been used? Because health workers in the country are complaining of, insufficient protective gear, testing kits, and reagents.
Well, what we can authoritatively report is that quite a substantial number of the health workers have actually claimed that they are yet to receive the various assortment of PPEs, and this cuts across the 47 counties in the country. And what we also know is that the ministry has been having a challenge when it comes to the facilities and the distribution chains. What we also can report is that the ministry has confirmed that we do know that the minister was recently in that is central Kenya, in a place known as Olkalau, which is in Nyandarua County, where he affirmed that the ministry has not stopped the issuance of this particular PPEs to the health workers. And he did reiterate that the government is continuing with this distribution of PPEs to health workers. At the same time, the reagents, we have received reports that we have a stock out, and it is still unclear how the government will be tackling this very, very interesting twist into the COVID-19 response mechanism. But as we know as of now is that the government has ordered for more PPEs coming in from different countries that have also pledged support for Kenya.
Just before I let you go, Abby, do bring us up to speed on the COVID-19 numbers in the country and Kenyans' fight against it.
All right, let me take you through today's numbers. As of this 16th day of June, the numbers stand at 3,860 infections in the country. And today, as a day on its own, we did record 133 new cases that actually took us to the numbers that is 3,860. Well, the recoveries have also been improving. We are talking of 40 recoveries recorded today, and the total number of recoveries have been capped at 1,328. And also today we did record one fatality where one patient succumbed. And the total deaths in Kenya stand at 105 deaths as of 16th of June. For now, the government maintains that the numbers have sort of stagnated compared with the last week and the weeks before, even as more and more Kenyans continue to strive to abide by the guidelines. So the government is maintaining, saying that we are not yet out of the woods.
All right, then, Abby Agino, Kenyan journalist, thank you for speaking to us. Well, an open-air market in Kenya's western city, Kisumu, has been demolished, shattering businesses and the lives of many of its traders. Local authorities in the lakeside city say they plan to rebuild and modernize the area. However, residents say given the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, the demolition could not have come at a worse time.
Traders in Kenya's western city of Kisumu sift through rubble, hoping to salvage belongings after their shops and stores were recently demolished by the authorities. Florence Ongie's life savings are in these bags of second-hand clothes. She used to sell them at Kibuye, one of East Africa's most vibrant open markets. About 3,000 traders and up to 10,000 on Sundays will flock here. But the county government demolished the market overnight, leaving Florence and many others desperate. She finds it hard to understand that the government did this in the middle of a pandemic.
I think the government could have been wait for a while, so that when Corona ended, they can continue to develop the market. But for now, they have come. Actually, if you look around, people are supposed to keep the distance, and now people are scattered all over.
This could not have come at a worse time for Elizabeth Ogutu, who is disabled and sells vegetables at the market to help provide for her 7 children.
This place is where I have been doing my business and has provided for me and my children. So since we were sent away, I have been staying in the house and I don't have an income to feed my family. So I'm appealing to both the county and national governments to help us find a place to do business, because I don't know how to beg. This is the place I used to run my business from and support my family.
The local government insists the market was flattened as part of a multi-million-dollar plan to regenerate the area and eventually modernize it. They have promised to relocate the traders.
In our record and to our understanding, there is not supposed to be anybody, any soul in Kibuye. They started to sneak back, and at the beginning, the police tried to flush them out. They pleaded for leniency, and a few of them got left behind. But as what we know and what is in our record, there's not supposed to be any trader.
Their decision has left thousands of small business owners with an uncertain future during one of the worst economic crises to hit Kenya since 2008, when the post-election violence killed more than 1,000 people.
The United Nations mission in South Sudan has launched a mobile COVID-19 awareness campaign using tricycles to sensitize the public in the 4 most densely populated towns of Western Equatoria. These tricycles are driving through major streets, broadcasting the WHO-approved messages on COVID-19 preventative measures through loudspeakers. Tahiru Ibrahim is the acting head of field office in the United Nations office in Yambio, he says the launch is part of the mission's ongoing endeavors to support the national-led response in South Sudan. The launch of the mobile awareness drive is also supported by Wilson Thomas Yanga, is the head of COVID-19 task force in Budu, who urged every citizen to be aware of the dangers of the pandemic.
Some people are still living in wonderland. They do not want to believe that this thing is real. But we need to continue the efforts to educate the general populace, to get them to appreciate the fact that COVID-19 is real and that we need to observe the protocols to be able to stay safe.
It is the responsibility of everybody to let people know that Corona is real, and the Corona is on the ground. In the specific in Yambio, we have a case, and we need to know about that. People need to know about that. Although many people have gone outside there from door to door, telling people about the danger of Corona, to the best of my knowledge, people are not adhering to. So we need to put maximum effort to see that the information reaches people in the village and everywhere that the Corona is a dangerous disease that has no cure, it has no vaccination. The only vaccination and the only cure is prevention.
An Egyptian mechanical engineer has built a remote-controlled robot that tests people for the coronavirus by running PRC tests, thereby limiting exposure to suspected cases. Apart from hospital use, Mahmoud El-Komi's robot can also be used in malls, banks and airports to screen passers-by's temperatures and advise those not wearing masks to do so.
An Egyptian engineer has designed a remote-controlled robot that can take PCR swabs from patients, restricting interaction and limiting exposure amid the coronavirus outbreak. Specializing in mechatronics, Mahmoud El-Komi designed his robot in an effort to help medical staff during the pandemic.
First of all, this is a multitasked robot made for the coronavirus pandemic. It has several tasks. One of them is measuring or detecting those that are suspected of having coronavirus in public spaces, such as in malls, banks, or at airports. It is able to perform facial recognition of any person and measure their temperature. If the person is discovered to have a fever, then an alarm is set off.
After more than a month's work, his current prototype is able to take PCR mouth swabs, recognize faces that aren't covered in masks, and advise people on proper health care. While his second prototype proved successful, El-Komi says that a third version currently under works will be able to take nose swabs as well as more accurately mirror a doctor's hand movements.
For now, it can take it from the mouth, from the right side. In version 3, the later version, it will be able to take it from the nose with more accuracy, with the master-slave technique, where the doctor will be moving the robot's hand from afar.
El-Komi hopes that hospitals and clinics can make use of his invention, limiting interaction in what are usually dangerous condensed spaces.
Medical establishments usually have great numbers of people. We hope there are more robots like this one that can show us who has symptoms, that can advise the people, that can tell people what to do and how to act. And if someone has symptoms, they wouldn't enter a crowded area so as not to mix with healthy people, which exposes everyone to danger.
The Arab world's most populous country has so far recorded 44,598 confirmed coronavirus cases and 1,575 deaths, having reached the highest daily increase for both counts on Saturday, June 13th.
June 16th is the United Nations Day of the African Child. The day aims to raise aims at raising awareness for the situation of children in Africa and on the need for continuing improvement in their education. This year's theme is Access to Child-Friendly Justice in Africa. This theme brings to the fore the plight of children with regards to their legal rights. Experts say millions of children throughout Africa don't have access to justice that's needed to realize their rights. Well, joining us now on the program is Executive Director of CC Yara Foundation, Grace Ketefe, to discuss more on this. Thank you, Grace, for speaking to us on Network Africa.
Thank you for having me.
Well, today's theme reflects on child-friendly justice system in Africa. How do we adopt that into Nigeria's present system?
Okay. So when you talk about a child-friendly system, it's a system that allows the child to access justice, allowing the child to express his or herself while seeking justice. So I'll give example. A child's rights has been abused, and then he gets to the police station that is not child-friendly. He's asked questions in a way that is not child-friendly. What did he do? How come you're the only one being sexually aroused, sexually abused, which is not child-friendly? When the child is also assessing the justice system, we as child advocates, we should be able to tell the child what to expect at every stage of the justice system. We should be able to ensure that when the child and the mother goes to the police station, the child is not repeating the abuse severally, such that the child is re-traumatized. There is a system that other countries use. We have what we call the forensic interview. The child statement is taken. All the child professionals, the medical doctor, the social worker, they listen to the child, tell the story once, and then every other person would ask questions through a forensic expert that would ask the child all the needed questions, and the child is not made to narrate the story over and over again. Even in the court system, we prevent the child from meeting with the perpetrators over and over again. So we ensure that the child gives the story once, and then the other justice personnel will do the right thing by asking the right questions.
Ms. Grace,
the child. Yes?
Let's use Nigeria as a case of study with the reports on criminal acts against children that rolls in on a daily basis. Do you think the justice system, is doing enough to protect the Nigerian child? Very quickly.
Okay, so they are trying, but a lot needs to be done. So take, for instance, there are courts that are putting in place child-friendly systems to ensure that the child is comfortable when giving evidence, to ensure that we protect the child when we want to give evidence in court. So there are child systems that are being put in place, but we need to do more. We need to improve more.
All right, then Grace Ketefe, the Executive Director, CC Yara Foundation. Thank you for speaking to us on Network Africa. And that's where we end the program also today. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Adegoke.